Thank you all for joining our 10th webinar, and happy International Women's Day for every woman with us today. We are honored to host Mrs. Jean Zaru, who is a Palestinian Quaker living in Ramallah, Palestine, and always advocates nonviolence. She struggled like many Palestinian women. She witnessed the Nakba, the 67 war, the first and second intifadas, and till today, she is still living under the occupation. Mrs. Zaru has been a leader in the Palestinian Quaker community and a pioneer for women's equality. In addition to serving as a clerk of the Ramallah Friends meeting, Mrs. Zaru was a founding member and vice chair of Sabil, an ecumenical Palestine Liberation Theology Center in Jerusalem. She wrote several books and served in different organizations. She always welcomed our groups with open arms and heart. I also would like to welcome the previous director of SCSC, Lars Linguist. He is a pastor and a journalist. Lars, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Hanya. It's really my privilege to join you in this webinar. It's nice to almost be back home. I will not take up any more time. I just want to say that, as you all know, we planned to have this webinar last Monday. I believe what happened was just God's gentle way to remind us that women's situations is not a one day per year issue. It's an issue that is needed to be discussed and considered every day during the year. So with these words, please, Jean Zaru.
Thank you, Magnus. Thanks for inviting me to be here. We always find problems on the way. I must say we had problems with the computer last time. This time we had just suddenly, while I sat here, I didn't have a cold, but suddenly a cold, I got a bad cold. The problem is, it's good that you can't see me, you're not with me, because I don't want anybody to catch this cold, but you'll understand it from my voice and so on. So again, thank you for coming, all of you. And yes, we were planning to be on Women's International Day, and that's very important for all of us to celebrate what we were able to do, and at the same time to put more pressure on issues that we need to keep working on. And at the same time, see where we can help others and find funds for others to carry on with their work for liberation and freedom. I would, this has been an issue for me all my life. I struggled with it. And as I said to my friend, when I went to Sweden the first time, long ago, I really felt this is heaven, you know. Look at the way women and men are nearly having equal, equal situations and equal rights. And I enjoyed that, and I thought people everywhere should talk about liberation and work for it, not just talk about it, work for it as well. Now, I should start with something that is very important to me, which is my spirituality. So it comes down from a spirituality, from a belief in equality, in justice, and peace. My spirituality is based on equality, human dignity, and human rights. So as a Palestinian woman struggling to transform structures of violence and domination, I find all struggles for justice are interrelated. I start this journey with others and for others to achieve some of these goals. It has been a long journey, but we did not seem to be bent down by our body's pain, anxiety, and hurt. We wanted to affirm life by upholding those ideals of equality, human dignity, and human rights at the national, political, economic, social, cultural, religious, and environmental level. All of these are important. Sometimes the pain of sexism is eclipsed by the lack of national liberation. But it is crucial to remember that we as Palestinians cannot become free if women are not free. We were told always, the men also are not free, so what are you talking about? And I don't think we should wait until Palestine is free to ask for equal rights with the men. The problem is, some people think that when we are working and doing so much for society, as women sometimes we're holding the whole sky. So why should you worry about, equal rights? I think if women are not free, then we cannot liberate Palestine. We have to be all free in our thinking and in our work for liberation. Some women think that they are adequately involved in society by the services they offer within their homes, different communities. But is it truly enough to serve without becoming part of the decision-making processes at work in the church and in the society as a whole? When it comes to their own rights, many women's consciousness hasn't been awakened, which is why they continue participating in and reinforcing the structures of injustice. Moreover, we live within a patriarchal system, a fact that is experienced daily in the religious structures and in the community. Few women speak up in the presence of male leaders. Many struggle to put bread on the table for their families. Certainly, women do a great deal. Often they hold the whole sky, not just half. The lack of equality and the lack of equal opportunities should be recognized in all spheres of life. Both men and women should work together to transform our societies and secure justice for all. The call for justice is heard everywhere. It is not an empty slogan or a liturgical anthem. Rather, it is a cry from the heart, a cry out of humiliation and oppression, a cry for a new future beginning now. Will our religious structures or our churches hear the cry for liberation and suffer with those who suffer? Are we respecting the UN Security Council resolution 1325 and focus and focus on development, security, and freedom from violence, we can work together to empower women to challenge oppressive structures in the global community, their country, and their religious centers, to affirm ensured leadership and decision-making, theology, and spirituality. 3, to give visibility to women's perspectives and actions in the struggle for justice, peace, and the integrity of creation. To enable the community to free themselves from teachings and practices that discriminate against women. Many people had hoped that the United Nations decade and the Church's decade in solidarity with women would lead to radical transformation of our societies and of the situation of women who suffer from poverty, economic exploitation, sexism, racism, and violence. However, the sad truth is that not much has changed. Today, most women face more difficult conditions than they did 15 or 20 years ago in many parts of the world because of poverty and war. Examples from the Middle East and from our area would be Palestine, Yemen, Libya, Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, and so many more. Violence in all its forms, including both direct and structural, is an expression of the uncontrolled excess of power that destroys relationships in human community. In the search for justice, it is an attempt to provide a comprehensive vision during periods of transition in which justice is an essential element. Sometimes women think, if we have things to do, then things are okay. It's not okay. But we should be part of the decision-making bodies of our structures and our societies. So it's a step towards moving forward to have, employment and so on. But also women have to be part of the decision-making of the whole structures in